What's key to ensuring that executive support as you go forward is, number one, within the SDLC, observability by design. The more you can build into a product or a service where you can demonstrate value and show stakeholders what's going on, the more it's going to become real for them, not just a supporting mechanism that they read a report about, but a product or a service that they can see day to day. It's something real. Probably the most important thing is to relentlessly focus on that business stakeholder value. And I just want to key in on something that Nick mentioned that we all intuitively know, which is big bang equals big bust. Going dark for multiple months or years and coming out the other side almost never has the intended effect. So being able to demonstrate going through a rapid development iteration process or an agile process where you can continually deliver small increments of value to business stakeholders absolutely showcases the value of doing things. And Nick also mentioned something that I'll just key off of a little. For him, it was removing the worst part of people's jobs. I'll take it to the other tact, which is always measure your decisions against the desired outcome for your software development, which is if you've got an outcome your business stakeholders or your customers are looking for, focus relentlessly on that experience, measure your decisions against the ability to deliver that, and don't get distracted.
Very first thing that is to understand why we even want to do that. Doing this end-to-end, like you mentioned, is improving quality, improving velocity. But at the end, it is for the whole team, for the whole organization to deliver business value continuously. So the focus here is we are going through a big culture shift. And we all talk about the human piece. And I think that this is not a small part that we should ignore, because we oftentimes that we're guilty of focusing on the cost cutting, but then forgetting about the human piece. So having that culture shift, and actually, can we do that from the lens of enhancing and promoting innovation? And you all mentioned about Agile, DevOps, DevSecOps. I'm not going to cover that again. But how are we enabling the whole organization such a way that we can connect the dots, we can see the data as soon as possible? The concept of shift left, shifting the security information, shifting the customer information, and having that kind of feedback loop. And I have a quick story to share. A company, rather than having a weekly meeting with everybody, they post a Slack post, and it is only 3 minutes before someone pick up that Slack post. And then their customer sees it, and the customer responds, and then even the competitor responds. And this is a very innovative way of disseminating information. Can we do that? Can we actually shift this information as early as possible? So to close that thought, I think that an autocratic and centralized organization cannot just possibly keep up with that notion. So I think it's just a food for thought that how can we break it down and bring this end-to-end value to everybody?
I think one of the key pieces, a couple of points have been covered, I wanted to share is how do we bring transparency to the stakeholders? I think more and more you can actually bring into your practice, and you have a buy-in on everything you do. So to me, look at the next generation platforms also, which sometimes have built-in analytics. You don't have to extract data from one place, dump in another one, massage it, then you use another platform to actually push it out. If all that can be sitting in the same environment, the individuals or the business unit has access to that in real time. And delivering data in a real time for decision making empowers that unit. They're not dependent on you. And I think somebody mentioned earlier too, is more and more you get to that engagement saying, this is not IT. We just going to put this framework into place. Then you as a business unit, go ahead now, manipulate it, whatever your needs are. And we will, the pipeline will deliver on it, but now build your capacity, whatever you need to understand that data differently, because the standard approach might not apply. And I think what Charles talked about, you need a different skill set. That's exactly what you're pushing other units around it. They're not becoming IT people. They need some more skill sets to do the job they need to do because their job is also changing. And then I think bringing that into your concept and thinking and transparency and enabling with the right business platform will get you there.
The areas in our organization that are doing development are either close to, or in one case, like fully embedded with the business unit itself. So it's a shared federated model, and the enterprise teams are looked to for defining the standards and guidelines, but then the actual development teams themselves are the ones that have direct responsibilities. So like that's a big shift in implementation from like a traditional full control SDLC. And a few of the challenges are monitoring adherence to the internal frameworks, and then also trying to prevent tool sprawl between the development teams, because in our case, the two bigger ones are servicing very different internal business clients. So our approach has been, and where we have enterprise processes embedded like security code scanning, we look to use those hooks to further expand traditional ITIL governance processes. So we've built out a modern event management platform in one case to offer development teams a modern way to do performance monitoring of their applications. And in return, we utilize incident and problem management processes as part of that monitoring, as a bit of a carrot approach to bring back some of the governance oversight. So it's an ongoing journey, but those are some of the ways we think about it and some of the ways we implement it.
I guess my view is a little different, because I'm looking at it from a consulting company and who's taken into many different large enterprises to help them along their journey in their digital modernization strategy. Our view for software delivery governance is to make sure you clearly define your objectives and regulatory requirements up front. Once that's done, we come in and assess the current state, identify gaps and efficiencies. And of course, DORA was mentioned by somebody. This is not like the DORA assessment where it just tells you how ugly your baby is. We use the same principles, but we follow it up with developing a governance framework and making sure the organization adopts that framework. Framework is where policies and procedures, roles and responsibilities are defined and communicated to the bigger audience. Automated checks and quality gates to ensure adherence to those frameworks are created. What I mean by automated checks and quality gates is implementing policy as code in the software delivery pipelines. Again, we claim that we are experts in end-to-end pipeline automation and orchestration. That's what we do. Create feedback loops, which was mentioned earlier on the call. Get signals back to the stakeholders as early as in the process as possible. Provide training and enablement to the teams to ensure they all understand the framework, policies, and processes. Continuously improve that framework. So again, shifting left was mentioned earlier on the call. Continuously improve policies, processes based on evolving requirements and feedback loops. Feedback loops was another thing that mentioned was on the call by the CIO. Measure and report on the KPIs for the software delivery on a regular basis. Really, I guess I can sum it up to core messages: automate as much of your policy and governance as you can, and remove individual judgment and human effort from the equation as much as possible. Use the automation to get feedback to the teams as early in the development process as possible. Again, shifting left. Use technology to filter noise and focus attention. Capture the assets required for audit during the automated software delivery process to lessen the burden on the audits that you need to do. Automatically attach evidence to change records in your service management platform. And last but not least, I think one thing that's really important in every organization, provide a safe culture an environment that enables continuous improvement, because this is a journey and you need to constantly improve and assess and redevelop and accelerate that process.